So it seems like things have cooled down enough for Creative Assembly to poke their head above the parapet once again to promptly get whack-a-moled. Because they've come up with another statement. Similar to the one they did that kicked us all off. They're going back to where it all started and making these written up, manipulative, corporate, PR, damage control statements that we have to translate into what it actually means and what's actually going on, read between the lines and interpret this. So that's what I'm going to do here, because people have trouble with this, especially the Warhammer kids that don't know anything. So let's get started. A message from Total War's leadership team. Dear Total War fans, I'm Roger Collum, Vice President at Creative Assembly. So notably, this is not Rob, because that would have been the thing to do. Try and rehabilitate Rob in the eyes of the fans so he can continue his job, you know? Wink wink. I'm Roger Collin, Vice President at Creative Assembly, and writing on behalf of our Total War leadership team. It's funny how they cycle between people. They put someone in the line of fire and they get absolutely riddled, and then they have to recuperate in the background and someone else has to step up and run the gauntlet. I remember I was talking with an ex-CA about Rob's statement, and the way they described it was, they said that Rob making a statement under his own name was like his power move. I think the way they described it, I'm not sure if this is the exact analogy, but the way I remember it is that it's like that scene out of Breaking Bad where the cartel are firing at Gus's compound and then Gus hears the shots and he walks out into the bullets. And because the sniper can't kill him, he just extends his arms and is like, come at me, bro. And that's what the thing that Rob did was described as. Like, that was the power move, the final boss intervention to control everything. And usually it works. I think I heard that Rob has done similar things in the past, even with Rome 2, possibly. And it always had worked. But this time it just didn't work because people were so pissed off. So now they've got another guy taking over and doing it instead. And we'll see how this goes. Let's just see. It's been a difficult few months, and we recognise, a difficult few months. And we recognise that we've made mistakes when it comes to our relationship with y'all. Mistakes. And they don't say what the mistakes are. What about banning your own players for commenting on the wrong forums at the wrong time? Issuing fraudulent DMCA claims? Defamation complaints to censor YouTubers that say things you don't like, overcharging by like 2 or 3 times with DLCs for Warhammer and Pharaoh, which is like a $10 game or $20 game. Basically, Troy being sold again. Troy, which we got for free, being sold again for more than Troy could ever have been priced at. When Troy launched on Steam, I think it was cheaper than Pharaoh was on launch. Like, you're paying more for the same game to buy it again. It's ridiculous. Wasn't that a mistake as well? Like, all these mistakes, don't know if you'd even call them fucking mistakes, because they were obviously deliberate and the motivations were very clear to make money. Mistakes. They were misjudgments that you regret didn't pan out how you wanted. You hoped that you would get away with it and you didn't, so that's the mistake. It's been a constant conversation internally on how we can get back to solid ground. Yeah, they're adrift on the seas at the moment, getting dashed by the waves. What's clear is that it won't be easy and that it will take time and effort. And making actually good games, what you're meant to be doing this whole time, the whole reason you exist, what you're fucking for, to make good games. This is all useless. This doesn't make the games better. This is all fucking bollocks. This is just more of doing anything but making good games to try and get money. We see the confusion, the frustration and the distrust of us across the community, and honestly it breaks our hearts. And also breaks your wallets, breaks the bank. We make games to bring you joy. Bullshit. Because when games were bringing people joy, like Three Kingdoms, and they were hoping to have their game be fixed with patches, like I was one of the people that actually was hoping for a while that Three Kingdom would get patched and fixed, and what did I get instead? DLCs that broke the game even more. So if you were going to bring us joy, you would make good games, price them appropriately, and support them properly, and not just abandon them when they stop making money. It's obvious to everyone at this point that money, the bottom line, is what actually drives your actions and your statements. This whole statement here has been driven out of panic at the fact that Pharaoh is making big losses for the company and no one is going to buy Warhammer 3 DLC. That's what motivated this entire fucking statement. This is just the first step in a process of damage control that they've decided they can only now begin to undertake. Fuck off. To inspire a love of history, of fantasy and strategy games, Total War is our everything. Since when? You've been trying to make a Fortnite-like scale game, or what's the other one? Overwatch. Like, you're trying to branch out. You're still working on some third-person game that has nothing to do with Total War. You're diluting the Total War brand by committing incest with other IPs like Warhammer. You're not interested in being true to Total War. Fucking ridiculous. If you care about Total War, then why is it taking the back seat for the past decade nearly to shitty fucking Warhammer? Give me a fucking break. We care about it as deeply as you. Okay, well, Roger, how much Total War have you ever played? When was the last time you played a Total War game? What have you done in Total War games? Like, this is all just so stupid. Recently, it's clear that we've failed to demonstrate that in our actions. We are sorry. Alright, this is Creative Assembly admitting what the fanboys won't, that the company fucked up, and has been fucking up non-stop. We cannot fix our issues overnight. Yep, it sounds like you have to spend years fixing the tools and dedicating some time to repairing the engine, repaying all of that tech debt, and sort out how your companies run. Put game development back into the hands of the actual developers that do give a shit about the game. There are people at Creative Assembly that care about Total War and actually play the fucking game and know anything about the game and how it should play, that have actually had good times in Total War games. But it's not these fucking presidents and product officers and all of this shit. These people know nothing about Total War. They're fucking corporates. They just think about money. That's something you have to sort out. Being honest about this. I should emphasise that all of the people at Creative Assembly that actually did care about the games, half of them have been fucking laid off. They're not there anymore. They got removed. So as one ex-CA that I was talking to about this statement said, who is going to make it better, Roger? The fucking gnomes? I thought that was really funny. Like, who's actually going to do all of this? Who's there and actually plays the games and cares about the games and is going to be fixing and making the games from now on? Because you've just laid off a massive swath of them. And that's at the same time as all of these people in senior director positions. There's like a dozen or more of them. They're pretty much all still there. So, this is a shitty fucking company. Like, fuck this shit company. They do what every shit company does whenever they're in trouble. All of the people on the ground floor that are doing all the hard backbreaking labour and work, they just lay off a big chunk of those, and all the people high up that are all buddy-buddy, they keep each other in a job. So that's how these companies survive. They got the people that are the most important, and all the guys in the top just shuffle each other around, keeping them in a job, and that's how it works. So who's going to be fucking fixing these games? Who's going to be making these games? How are things going to be getting better? You've just fired all of the people that you need to do that. And I know that for a fact because when I first heard that there were going to be massive layoffs, one of the first things I did was go to LinkedIn and scroll the actual page. All of the hundreds and hundreds of people that work at CA, I just scrolled that whole wall of all of the publicly visible LinkedIn profiles. All of the hundreds of people. I've even got screen recordings of myself doing it at different periods over the past few months. And sometimes you would have like 20 or 30 names on your screen, and half of them would have the looking for work watermark on their profile. So anyone can check this. All of the idiots on Reddit that are just like, how do we know CA laid off loads of people? Because you can go on LinkedIn and they have it on their fucking professional profile pages that they've been laid off and they're looking for a job, so they're not out on the fucking street. You idiots. You fucking idiots. And fucking idiots at CA as well that are firing all of these people that are the lifeblood of the company. I've got CA, I've had this for the past few months now. I have CA coming to me and saying, basically all of my friends have been laid off. All of my buddies that worked on Total War for the past decade have been laid off. They've been gutted. My friend group at Creative Assembly has been devastated by these layoffs. Who's going to be fixing the games, Roger? Who's going to be making the games from now on? You've just destroyed the company. Fucking idiots, man. And these people tell me this because they hope that I'll report on it. And they're not just hoping that I'll report on it baselessly. I won't just parrot what I'm being told. Like I said, I've looked on LinkedIn. I've seen all of the hundreds of people that are laid off and are looking for work, that are at the very least in redundancy consultation currently, that are likely to be made redundant. Even if it isn't the whole 42%, it's a massive chunk of the company. Loads of people have already left and found jobs elsewhere. The company's been fucking destroyed. Well done, executives. Total War's going to be great from now on. Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing, man. That's just what we need. An upside down pyramid of a company with shitty tools and a mountain of tech debt. That's exactly what we need. Good job, guys. But we will work towards a more transparent and consistent relationship with you all. Yeah, let's see. Total War's a big and complex ship to steer, built on decades of knowledge, passion and technology. Yep. And you've lost a lot of the passion and the knowledge over the past few months. People that were the only ones that knew how to do things. You've lost that skill forever, it's gone. You're never going to get it back. It's going to be an effort to rebuild from the ground up what they left you with that you can't use now. The slow and steady pace we've taken up till now has benefited us in the past. Slow and steady pace. But today we see the need to react faster to help address the challenges that are ahead of us. So let's talk about those challenges and what you can expect from both Total War Warhammer 3 and Pharaoh going forward. Alright, so I'll just admit right here, I do not give a shit about this DLC. I do not give a shit about Warhammer 3, I never have. So I'm not invested in this whatsoever. We've listened to your feedback on Shadows of Change, and we know that we failed to meet your expectations of what a DLC should be. Yeah, because in addition to costing 150% more than the previous DLC, it was also apparently worse. Less effort, less work, less content. So, people that were already getting ripped off with the whole DLC model, games as DLC pipelines, they've been getting ripped off even harder recently with Shadows of Change. And they're acknowledging this, indirectly. To address that, we're enhancing our offer for everyone who purchased Shadows of Change with more content and a commitment to ensuring that we better meet your expectations going forward. So this is them saying they are gonna pimp out the DLC to make it less pathetic compared to previous DLCs. We're targeting a major update to Shadows of Change which will arrive free for everyone who owns it. We have the goal of releasing this update in February 2024, at which point it will become part of the package for everyone who buys it in the future. What you can take away from this is that if you actually bought Shadows of Change just on its merits and defended it, you were an absolute fucking goober that allowed yourself to get ripped off because the company itself admits that it was inadequate and are now trying to make amends. The number of people that have rightly criticised this as being inadequate massively outnumbers the minority of people that were willing to be suckered and just go along with it and defend it on fucking Reddit and all these other shithole forums. It's bad times. Imagine how bad things have to be for a company-controlled forum to lose control of perceptions that badly. Man. That launch date is our ambition, but this isn't concrete. It may move, and as soon as those plans are finalised, we'll let you know and we'll keep you in the know as we get closer to its release. When we return in the new year, you'll hear directly from game director Rich Aldridge and the Warhammer 3 team who will talk to you about what this expansion to Shadows of Change will look like. Making this right is important to us, and to do this properly, Thrones of Decay will move out of its intended release window of winter 2023. We're looking to launch this DLC in April 2024. Alright, well I'm not someone that's paid attention to DLC release schedules and intervals, but what was it, September or October until April, that's like 6 months, so you can see how much disarray there is over there, that they can't even keep to their release windows that they've got, and have to delay DLCs have intervals between DLCs of 6 months. I think it used to be like every 3 months or something they would have a DLC for these Warhammer games, and now they're doing twice that, 6 months. Yeah. Things are fucked over there. We also have more work to do on Thrones of Decay to make sure we don't repeat our past mistakes. So what, is that going to cost $15? Imagine if this cost $25 again. Holy shit. Imagine if they fix up Shadows of Change to have it be more or less at the same standard as previous DLCs to justify the $25, and then for this new one, Thrones of Decay, they charge $25 again, but with the excuse that people already paid $25 for this other shit DLC that we've since fixed. To give you the amount of content that you really expect from us at these price points. Rightly expect because it's what people have been paying for years. They try to make you pay more for less. Rightly expect. Once we've launched a free update to Shadows of Change, we'll talk more about what this next DLC will offer. It'll just be another DLC. Aren't they just really cookie cutter? Like, you reskin a couple of monsters, you find a new place on the map to plop it all down, you change some building textures and stuff, you record some new voice lines. I don't think it is that much compared to launching a fucking game. How much effort actually goes into DLC compared to a full game? 2%? 4%? 6%? Like, how much effort actually goes into these? And what the next DLC will offer. It's just another DLC. They've already done it like 50 times. We know what DLCs are. We'll make sure that you know exactly what's coming in Thrones of Decay before pre-orders are available. Pre-orders. Another thing that you should just never do. They should just fucking get rid of pre-orders, fuck's sake. I love the implication here, though, that previously we were trying to trick people into buying shit by not even telling them what was in it. To make sure you know exactly what's coming before pre-orders are available, and make sure that you have full transparency around the content before you see buy now buttons. Isn't this just hilarious? They're admitting how shady this whole thing was all along. After Thrones of Decay releases, we'll reveal what the next series of content for Warhammer 3 looks like. Our work on this beloved series isn't finished yet. Since 4.0 went live, we've changed up how we approach making updates to the game, releasing 10 hotfixes. I've seen some really mixed and even outright negative reporting on these hotfixes, saying that they break things more than they fix them sometimes, or that they leave really obvious broken bugs fucked when it's as simple as changing a line in a database, and modders can release meaningful fixes faster than they can with these hotfixes for some fucking reason. So this looks good here, 10 hotfixes, but if the state of the game is still abject, then clearly it isn't doing much. As well as patch 4.1, all targeting issues that we've seen emerging after each subsequent update, as well as introducing new features like skill point resets that help balance and improve the core experience of playing the game. It's an increase in the number of game updates that we'd usually release, and we want to keep this cadence of releases going forward. We can't commit to a fixed number of updates each month, as we'll ultimately release these based on the content that we're building, and the issues we see you raising that need our attention. However, over these last few months, we've released a game update roughly every 2 weeks, and where we can, we'd like to stick to that through 2024. That doesn't mean anything to me unless it actually fixes the game. That's what people want. Are these updates fixing the game? I don't see any evidence to suggest that they actually are. Are they making a dent? I can't say that they definitely are. I don't play this game, I just read other people that do, and they just keep complaining, saying the game's fucked, and the game's shit, and the game's worse than Warhammer 2. How long is it going to take for people to reach a consensus that Warhammer 3 is better than Warhammer 2, that the game is even justified to exist? How many more of these tiny incremental updates are going to be required for that? How many more months or years of this is it going to take? It's just an embarrassing situation. Fucking embarrassing, man. Alright, here's the thing that's actually relevant, because this has bearing on Total War on the whole, and the whole historical non-Warhammer Total War, and their attitude to non-Warhammer Total War, which is what I care a lot more about, because I don't care about Warhammer. We want to make you aware of a decision that we've made internally surrounding the game, and what to expect with DLC that we've been working on. There's some important information here that affects all owners of the game, so please read through this part carefully. In the next few days, all current owners of Total War Pharaoh will see that Steam has processed a partial refund to you. Alright, what's going to happen here is that all of the kids, all of the Warhammer kiddies are going to read this, and they're going to think, oh wow, Creative Assembly is giving people money, free money. Creative Assembly is such a nice, small family company that they are doing for me what I did for them. They are giving me money to be nice to me. But what is actually happening here is that Creative Assembly have realised, obviously, that Pharaoh has flopped so badly that so few people own the game, that if they make any DLC for Pharaoh, no one will buy it, because even if the attach rate is really high, no one owns this fucking game. You can't be motivated to buy DLC for a game that you don't even own. The attach rate cannot exceed 100%. So if Total War has, as my leaks said, only sold like 45,000 copies, probably now rising to like 50 or 55 or 60,000 copies, then it's never going to have that many sales in DLC. No one is going to be buying these DLCs, especially when no one is even playing Pharaoh at the moment. Not only did no one buy Pharaoh, but even less people even play it. This game has just been a dead zone, a blank spot in Total War's history, pretty much. This has flopped even harder than Thrones of Britannia did. This has flopped even more than Troy has. It's already nearly got less players than Troy and Thrones of Britannia. It's the most forgotten Total War game ever, and if they've already made it clear that they're going to stop making DLCs for games if they don't sell enough, and they did that clearly with Thrones of Britannia, and then even more in broad daylight with Three Kingdoms, with the future of Three Kingdoms, then they're going to obviously do the same thing here and just not make DLCs. And the problem they have is that they've already promised to people that they will be making DLCs. Not only that, but they've already taken people's money for DLCs that they haven't made yet. You have given them an interest-free loan in advance of what, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months? When did people first start pre-ordering this game? The deluxe edition of this game? When was the first deluxe edition Total War Pharaoh bought? That would have happened in what, June or July 2022? So Creative Assembly has had an interest-free loan of like $60 or $70 or whatever it is, $100, $100? Let's check this. Alright, I couldn't even find a fucking version of this because they wiped the page. This is Total War Pharaoh FAQ. This is this page, Total War Pharaoh FAQ, cached version, and it doesn't load, so you have to click text-only version. And it says here that they were charging £78, $91, 91 euros. And here's what they were promising. They were selling cosmetic DLCs. So they were charging $90 for something that they didn't actually give you. You gave them an interest-free loan of, what is it? $40 to $90. So you gave them a $50 free interest-free loan, and for 6 months they probably had that in cash or bonds, and they could have done whatever they wanted with it. That's what corporations usually do with cash on hand, like they just buy bonds or something and get a yield on it. So they were making money off of your money. If you had that in a nationwide 8% instant access savings account, you could have made like £1 or £2. If you had that in Bitcoin, you could have probably doubled your money. But instead, you gave an interest-free loan to a company so that they could then just give your money back to you after cancelling the agreement. And we all know why. It's because they decided they're not going to make the DLCs that they promised. That's what's actually going on here. This is happening because we've lowered the price of the game to a new RRP of $39.99. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's why it happened. Yeah, nothing to do with the DLCs. Whoops! Oh, wait a minute. Oh, shit, didn't we have DLCs planned? Oh, I just can't stomach what we've done here. We charged €60, $60 for a game that is just Troy again. We can't do this. We've got to go back on it. Yep, so forget about the DLC for now. I'm just so bound by my morals, my moral conviction. I just feel so guilty about what we did that reducing the price here takes precedence. We'll figure out the DLC thing later. Of course not. This is all about the DLCs. They're not giving money back to you out of guilt and goodwill. They're doing it because they have a legal obligation to do that. They're not giving you your money back out of some moral concern, a feeling of guilt. They're doing it so they can justify cancelling the DLCs that they had planned. This is so transparent. We don't think it's fair that our fans who put their trust in us on Pharaoh should in any way feel disadvantaged for buying the game at the previous price. We've also removed the higher price editions of the game, the Deluxe Edition and Dynasty Edition. There's now only one edition of the game available for purchase. Our next update, and what was originally our first paid DLC, will release early in 2024 as a free update for everyone who owns the game. Yeah, right. I somehow doubt that seeing as this game has sold so few copies unexpectedly, that this DLC is going to look exactly like what they planned it to look like all along. If it's a really good DLC that people would have paid for, why are they giving it away for free? We'll have plenty to show you about this now free addition to Pharaoh in the new year. I love how they had all of this costs are up bullshit, and suddenly they're just being charitable and giving away paid DLCs. What a load of transparent bollocks. We've now begun the process of reassessing what comes next for Pharaoh, and while we don't have all the answers today, we want to make it clear to you that we're not closing the door on other more ambitious updates to the game in the future. Look, they're even alluding to it here. Implicit in this is that this is less ambitious. A paid DLC, our first paid DLC will release early for free. More ambitious updates. What's more ambitious than a paid DLC that you would have charged like $10 or $15 or $20 for, that would have been packaged with the original deluxe editions of the game when we bought them? People paid a premium, literally, isn't it deluxe edition or premium edition? Dynasty edition, deluxe edition. People paid a premium for these DLCs, and we're supposed to believe that that's what this is, and that we're being given it for free now, but then it says more ambitious updates in the future. What the fuck is this? What is this? This is so transparent. Did they read this? What is this? We've still got big plans, but we want to be honest with you and saying that we need to spend more time with them before putting them out in the show. Yeah, we want to be able to read the room and see what we can get away with. Okay. Whilst we have removed the Dynasty edition of the game from our lineup and have internally changed up our plans for what we go on to do next, we'll still be releasing incremental updates to the game that help to bring fixes and changes to the core experience along the way. One plan that we've always had since the early stages of development on Pharaoh, and this is an interesting subject. In the early stages of development for Pharaoh, it was a Troy DLC. They admitted this. In fact, the same person that admitted this, the same person that worked on Pharaoh at Sophia, senior position, that admitted this, later went on to contradict themselves explicitly, surely on instruction from Horsham in England. So we have a statement that Pharaoh was originally a DLC for Troy that got scope creeped up into being a full game. And then we have them contradicting that and saying Pharaoh was never intended as a DLC. And we have no explanation forthcoming on how this contradiction could have happened. How did that initial statement happen? How was that possible? We have no explanation on how that occurred. None. In fact, they try and gaslight YouTubers that point out. I saw a Great Book of Grudges get a load of shit for insisting on what he was told. He insisted that he was told this, and this was not acknowledged. It was just denied, and the subsequent statement insisted upon without any explanation from the former statement. It's just an absolute gaslighty shit show of damage control bullshit. That's what this whole Total War Creative Assembly community management thing is. It's just non-stop gaslighting and Gestapo and manipulation. This is so transparent. But anyway, I'm getting onto this. So how are we meant to believe any of this? How are we supposed to believe any of this if they're willing to clearly lie and make false statements? These are mutually contradictory propositions. Pharaoh was a Troy DLC early in development. Pharaoh wasn't a Troy DLC early in development. These are mutually exclusive. They can't both be true. But one of them was definitely wrong, and there is lying happening. So how are we meant to believe any of this? What if they're just lying again? But anyway, what are they saying? Our plan that we've had since early stages of development is to expand the size of our campaign map as a free update. Yeah, I just can't believe this. Maybe this is true, maybe it isn't. I can't take this on its merits, because whenever they talk about early stages of development, they're often fucking lying. So, and also, Three Kingdoms itself, they said that they were going to expand the Three Kingdoms map, what is it, the north, or like the Nanban or the southwest, and then in the northwest of the map they were going to expand that, and they didn't do it. They instead dropped the game. So people bought that game expecting that to happen, and it was said that it was going to happen in marketing materials, and then it didn't happen. So you can't believe anything they say. If the game isn't making money, or you disappoint them by not spending enough money on the game and on DLCs and enough numbers, they're going to just cancel whatever they said they were going to do. We've seen it happen multiple times. We'll have more to say to show what that looks like in the new year after our next update for Pharaoh releases. We're very proud of our teammates and grateful to all the players who picked up Pharaoh. What if all 50,000 of them, all 55, 60,000 of them? And that's probably been charitable. A franchise that's supposed to sell 2 or 3 million units for each title, selling 60,000? Yeah. To those players, the team are forever reading all your comments and feedback. Yeah, and then telling them the right to discuss is not a privilege. What was it? I can't remember how that ill-formed expression was worded. The right to discuss is a privilege that you don't earn by playing the game. The right to discuss is a privilege, that's where it was. Fucking hell, man. We're forever reading all of your comments and feedback and then banning you from the forums with the goal of bringing you future fixes and changes that catch us up on the things that we've missed. I'm sure that is the goal. Before we sign off from today's blog, we're going to talk about how we can include more of your voices in what we do. We want to expose more of what we do behind the scenes. Our goal is to invest more in our player channels moving forward, introduce more voices from the studio who can speak to you directly about their work and how that relates to what you want from our titles. Yeah, but the thing is, when that happens, it seems like you make them lie to do damage control, like with Pharaoh being a Troy DLC, where one of the people that worked on the game had to 180 and explicitly contradict themselves in the open and got caught doing it. So, I don't know, maybe find better ways of doing this that don't involve lying and deception and manipulation. That's my suggestion. This will all be a work in progress, so do bear with us, but this is our direction moving forward. We again apologise for the missteps we've made. The mistakes of Total War are a shared responsibility by all leaders of the franchise. What the fuck is this supposed to mean? This is so vague and meaningless. To the extent that this is true, it's trivial. And while it may not seem like at times we're listening, we really hope that the extra love we're pouring into Warhammer 3 DLC or several recent updates and the changes for Pharaoh show our heartfelt commitment to these games and to you. I have a feeling that Pharaoh is going to just end horribly, because they already were willing to do that with Thrones of Britannia and Three Kingdoms. The precedent exists. If things go badly, they will just drop it, and it seems like they've already laid the groundwork to drop it. So, yeah, this is the boil in the frog again. This is a new boil in the frog where they do it with blog statements instead of increasingly shitty DLCs. So we'll see. It depends how well they think they can bullshit people with these kinds of press statements. I don't know. We know we have a lot of work to do, and that this one letter doesn't amount to any proof of the future. You'll need to see the change before you believe it. You'll hear from us again on the changes coming to Shadow of Change, and on what to expect for Pharaoh when we return from the holidays. Also, I read comments saying that they misspelled Pharaoh consistently throughout this blog, so they've clearly edited this to fix it. But apparently this was riddled with misspellings of Pharaoh, which was really funny. They can't even spell their own game. Fucking hell. That just goes to what I was saying about the person that wrote this doesn't even play these games. I would be willing to bet, like, they're just someone that applied for a job at a company that's in line with their previous work at another company, and they got paid a similar amount of money, so they took the job, and have been doing a job for the company ever since, and they have nothing to do with the games, don't know anything about the games. They have to ask people underneath them for basic details about the games in order to even compose these blog posts. They have to have people proofread their posts to spot obvious gaffes and blunders. It's a shame they didn't spot the word Pharaoh being misspelled until we had to point out for them. Oh my god. You'll hear from us again on the changes coming at Shadows of Change and on what to expect for Pharaoh when we return from the holidays, and you'll continue to hear from us on the Total War leadership team once we've settled back into the flow of the new year, and we'll keep bringing you more news on where we're at. On where we're at. Oh man, American as fuck. Where we're at. Where we make mistakes in this next part of our journey, we'll work hard to act faster to address them, to iterate whilst we learn from these moments, and to always be taking steps in the right directions. Man, now they care about taking steps in the right directions. Okay, sure thing. We hope that you can find patience for us as we find our footing again, and we hope in the coming months we can prove to you with actions along with words. Man. I'm not impressed. I just see a load of PR speak bullshit that they decided to put out because they think things have settled enough that they can actually start doing damage control. But I don't think that's the case. I've got plenty more leaks. The leaking is still going on. I've got plenty more really hard-hitting things that I can say. I haven't been silenced one bit Not even fucking close. In fact, next video up is going to be on why Medieval 3 is never going to come. So subscribe if you're looking forward to that. And let's keep the ball rolling. Also, I should mention that I have been playing Alien Isolation recently and having fun with it. And there should be more to come on that as well. Alright, see you later. If you like my work and want to support it, I have a Patreon page. I give out perks every month, which includes updates on what I'm thinking and what I'm planning. Special thanks to Matteo Olivetti, Nerdington Paints, SJ Mage and Badr Nasser.